It's 6 o'clock on Tuesday, October 27th, 2024, and I call the meeting of the Personnel and Finance Committee to order.
August.
Add two. All right, it's Tuesday, August 27th. What did I say?
October.
I'm really ahead of times. August 27, 2024 at 6 o'clock. Item number 2 on the agenda is consider approving minutes from the previous meeting.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes from the July 23rd meeting.
I will second that motion.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. Agenda item number 2, approval of vouchers.
I will make a motion to approve the vouchers because our finance director answered all of my questions.
I will second that motion.
Motion made and seconded to approve the vouchers for the month. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That matter is approved. General items for consideration. Number 1, discuss and consider the acceptance of a grant from the Bierman Family Foundation for portable radios for Merrill Police and Fire Departments.
Are we waiting for questions, or are you going to give us?
I mean, I'll make a motion to accept the grant
For discussion purposes?
for discussion purposes.
I will second it for discussion purposes.
All right, motion made and seconded. I should clarify that I am the person that wrote this grant. But my benefit has nothing to do with the city of Merrill, although as a taxpayer it certainly does. We brought this, for Nathan, you're not familiar, on our radar screen a couple years ago because we did not want an organization, a city department to get, I'll just throw out there, a Black Hawk helicopter and say, look what we got, but it's a grant, it's not going to cost us anything. And we were fearful of the long-term costs of some of these free gifts, whether it was from any funding source, federal government, state government, local grants, et cetera.
I actually do remember all of this,
Okay,
yes.
all right. So that is the purpose, because our horse is quite a bit ahead of the cart when it comes to this grant itself. So the Bierman family did approve the grant. The Merrill PD, were you at your budget? Were you at your capital improvement level right now, or how far out were you on your radios?
I don't know what you mean by that. Are we
What
at
your capital request for new radios?
Technically, it was scheduled. The radio request should have been for 2025 if you kept to the schedule. So theoretically, it would have appeared at this next budget session. If not that, at least a rehab of the existing radios. So it was getting down to our need for sure.
The radios are a change from the programmer that used to provide to the city, which was Northway Communications through Motorola. A company by the name of L3Harris is getting very deeply ingrained in the state of Wisconsin. The state has spent billions with a B on them, getting infrastructure. So the state is telling local agencies, if you want to buy a product, this is the product to go with right now. And that's why this core group of researchers said, this is what we want to go through. For the police department, it was obvious that they did not want these big yellow radios on their hips like the fire department first carry. So they were able to find a similar model which met their needs. And this also meets needs going futures, such as encryption, digital, 800 megahertz frequencies, all that kind of stuff. It's all there. And what they're finding for the fire department side is if you're getting shipped like our local firefighters were this past year down to the Fort McCoy area, is you have to have compatible radios, and especially as you're moving up in the chain of food, whether you're working with state or federal officials, and these radios would provide for all that. And so that's basically what this grant is, and I don't know if anybody has any add or questions.
So these would be replacement radios to the current radios that they have?
Correct.
And
Which
this is-
would be up for replacement in a year or two anyhow?
Theoretically,
Okay.
next year was the schedule.
These radios normally go for about $7,000 to $7,500 per radio because of how many bells and whistles they have. Because L3Harris is hoping to saturate the market with their product, they gave them to us all for $3,500 a piece.
Does it cause problems if all of a sudden everybody in the state has just one operating system and that system all of a sudden, Are there any backups or any
The frequency
redundancies?
band
or-
is spread. And like you said, we're mostly VHF channels here in our region. Some have encryption, which we don't have access to right now with our current equipment. So this will solve that on the portable radios. And in the future, if someone switches or we go to mutual aid anywhere else, we have the ability to do any other band that you could possibly broadcast or receive on. Even in the future, if radio technology takes a back seat and you're onto cell phone technology with a SIM card inside your radio, these will accommodate that too. So it's really looking forward, really looking forward.
And then if these are as expensive as they are without the good deal down the road, would you be replacing them more incrementally, like, so many per year as opposed to 25 of them all at one time again, or?
Yeah, it's something we could definitely look at as a city, what would be more affordable to do. This is just our portables. Our mobiles are not part of this. So as we get usage on these new ones and we have confidence in that product, we'll start slowly doing that with our car mobile radios. As we replace cars, we'll start doing 1 or 2 radios at a time over to this technology. So those will be kind of, incrementally brought into the picture.
Okay.
What we were also told by the state representative, who was kind of our guide in this, is that obviously the police department's going to use their radios a lot more often than the fire departments would, especially the rural fire departments. But these are probably 20-year radios for a lot of these agencies, so we're going to have them for a long time. The one thing that was emphasized by the Bierman Family Foundation was that don't take the ones you have now and run off and sell them someplace and then say, hey, we're broke and that's why we got this money from you. So I know I've talked to different people about trickling them down. In the past, the police department gave some to the amateur radio group, the water
Oh,
department.
they've already asked about.
I'm sure they
want
did.
these.
The water department, I talked to Gabe Steinangle about that, and he says, we're still going cell phone to cell phone when we're talking, at a house, if one's in the basement, one's upstairs, and you call each other on their cell phones. So, and that also allows them to monitor what's going on in the city. If there's a fire at 2 in the afternoon, they'll know it right away. And they'll hear them on their portables. So, that's some idea to trickle them down as well. And I have to mention the fact that this check, when it was wrote out, and it was the biggest check I've ever seen wrote out, had to be written out to a municipality who had to weave through everything. And I want to thank our finance director for volunteering to take care of all this for us, because the Biermans wrote the check to the city of Merrill, which met their criteria in making their donations. And then she was able to do the rest with the grant and work with L3 Harris to get everything done. So I certainly appreciate that as a taxpayer and as a person on the other end of the grant. In
So-
total, it saved the area agencies over $500,000. To give you an idea.
Okay. So just a few quick questions. So the replacement plan that on our old radios was like every 20 years, 10
No,
years?
It was 10 or less, actually, if I
10.
recall.
10 or less?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically we'd be doubling our,
We don't know.
hopefully.
We don't know. No.
The durability on these, I've read some articles where people have dropped these from 100 foot up on a tower doing work. And you might crack a case, but they're still functional. It's pretty amazing how rugged they're making.
It's the one who catches it that.
Yeah, there you go.
The other thing that is going to benefit all agencies in the long run is we have 2 and now possibly 3. I heard the fire department might be getting the software. It costs like $900 to program these radios. So if a year from now they decide to have some secret squirrel channel, as they call it, law enforcement, and they only want the local cops to know, instead of paying Northway to come up per radio and program, plus travel time and everything, they would have the software just to do it right there and ship it out. All these radios, when we get them to volunteer fire departments, are going to get programmed by either the Tomahawk Fire Chief, our fire captain, or the chief of Corning. So that's all free programming, and they'll redo the programming if need be. So that saves a lot of money in the future, too.
Okay, I was just going to ask about that because point 4 says pricing does not include installation, programming, taxes, or shipping. So is installation and programming included in this then, or
It's,
is?
the time has been donated to do that. If my understanding is Judge Klug might be looking at buying the program to redo the radios themselves.
We might as well.
Okay.
It'd be good to have a couple people trained just on hand.
And again, that's $900. If you reprogram 4 radios, 5 radios, that's looking at $900 at Northway, so.
And there's no licensing fee that, like all the wonderful
We've already got it.
IT things that, per user, you get a
Oh.
$20 licensing
I see what you
fee
mean.
every year.
I guess, is there any clarification if they can't get rid of radios, what you want them to do with them as far as,
It
I
was-
know
it
you say
was-
you're not supposed to sell them, but I mean, what is your, not your vision, but what was the direction from the Bierman Foundation if we can't pass them along?
It was my suggestion in the meeting itself that some agencies ran into trouble when the tornado went through because they had their portables and that was it. The sheriff's office had an entire box of radios. And for years, they said we should be charging these in case of tornado, and when they went to get them at the tornado, they were gone. They disappeared. So maybe if someplace somewhere, those radios can be, at least half of them could be charging in case there is a thing that you need, all of a sudden, we need fresh new portables for 5 guys or gals. It's there and available. And that was something they really thought was a good idea.
We intend on keeping these for a while we go through the paces of the new one, make sure we're good to go. But just a thought, maybe if we do sell them, we could just make sure we turn those funds back around into like spare portable batteries.
Yeah.
That way you do have a second.
I mean, they realize that we're going to have to get rid of equipment. We can't stockpile everything. But their biggest thing is they're worried about funding stuff, whether it's for new ink pens for City Hall or a new fire truck, that if you have the money, why are you coming to us for it? And obviously we do, but that's a huge amount of money that's burden relieves off the city. So, again, the idea that if we would turn around and just, those portables are only 3 years old, we'll just flip them real quick and make some more money, that would be something that would sour them. So we don't need to have them till Kingdom Come, but just don't flip them tomorrow.
No, but if they would get put into a fund for replacement or maintenance, or like you said, the $900 for the software to program them, just something along the lines where we're maintaining the gift that they've given us with it.
Equipment replacement, that was a fun, and that's a big thing and I don't think we have one yet. I mean, years ago when my father was mayor, he said, why aren't we putting away X amount per year for the next fire truck? And that's a good idea, and they never did, so.
The only place we have it is at the treatment plant, or the sewer and water.
Yeah. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor of accepting the grant from the Bierman Family Foundation signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It is accepted.
Those radios are in already?
They are in. They're waiting for someone official to say, I'll take them and pick them up. Although
I gotta make sure mine are what we need.
October 9th is an all-day training session. They're looking at having at Merrill Fire. The guy who actually designed the portable is going to be here to teach people. They want 2 from each agency, and then they'll go back and train the trainer, although I heard it was pretty user-friendly. Can we get a letter then off to the Bierman Family Foundation, signed by somebody important like himself? Agenda item number 2 under items for general consideration, considering a second full-time school resource officer, 100% MAPS funded.
So this has been a discussion for years with a couple different superintendents, maybe even beyond my time. With the amount of call volume and demand at both the middle school and high school primarily, this has been a subject for a while. But we know our limitations as a city, and we can't contribute any more to that solution. So the school has been made aware that the target for us would be 100% school funded. So in the aggregate, that's 75% funded over both, which represents the actual time the officers spend with the district. Actually, that's a pretty fair number. So the school board has approved on their end an additional full-time SRO, and they're willing to pay the 100% operational costs for that person. There are some little things that would have to get made up initially, but 100% for their wages and benefits.
So their benefits are all covered by the school as well then?
Correct. Up to I guess you'd call it the worst case scenario for cost. family insurance, things like that. So, senior officer, et cetera.
And it would be just like how we do now. We would bill them and they'd reimburse us.
Mhm.
It will have to be a secondary agreement. We can't redo the first one because they already have a funding mechanism for that one. And the new one, they're gonna use a special fund for that would require a separate agreement. So it would be a 100% MAPS thing on that agreement, and then the first one will stay at 50.
What about something as simple as the vehicle, squad car?
So that's where we would absorb some costs. So typically what we do with the SRO is we retain one that we would normally trade in with lower mileage. They don't put on a lot of miles per year. It's under like 4,000 miles a year, back and forth. So those cars tend to last a little bit further. So if this went through, we would probably retain both of the Durangos that we would trade in next year and sell Jamie's current car, which is that Taurus. That's one of the oldest we have. Give both of those to the SROs. And our capital request for this year is 2 new squad cars.
When Officer Yeager is during the school year, she's at the school, but during the summer she's still on call and still doing hours
She's-
and.
Yeah, she's assigned patrol, even though she does have some back and forth with the school. She tends to use most of her time off in the summertime, not all of it. But
Mhm.
we see that.
Mhm.
That's the trend that we see.
What would the plan be for this secondary SRO during the summertime?
Patrol, so we're kind of governed by the contract on their working hours. We can't change their schedule to the 12-hour system and plug them in. We're governed contractually by their normal schedule. So during those hours, that 8 to 4, then they would plug into patrol. It doesn't mean we can't give them special assignments if we're able to do so,
I was just curious on what they'd be doing, considering obviously there's basically 3 months out of the year that the school
Yeah.
district isn't really operating with students, so.
It doesn't fill the full day shift, which is 6A to 6P right now.
Right.
But during that 8 to 4, especially during the summer when most people are trying to burn through their vacation, we do run lean quite a bit more. So it does help during those hours.
My next question is, you have hard enough time hiring the way it is.
Yep.
When is your timeline that if we would wave our wand at the next council meeting to approve this, is for this to get on board? Is this 2025?
This is, yeah. So right now, we are 1 shy, and we have an offer extended. Theoretically, that person could onboard in October this year, and then you have training time. And then we have a retirement coming at the beginning of next year, which puts us back down 1 again with the addition of this. So right now, we're already looking at needing 2. So I would project, and this is what I've told the superintendent, I would plan on fall of 2025 when we could actually get up to strength.
How far out is Officer Yeager's retirement?
She hasn't given a date.
But
Um,
it's not.
She's in the window right now.
Okay,
She wants
that's
to
kind
do-
of what I'm
Yep.
aiming towards is. Some transitional time that way too.
Knowing that we have officers that are looking to retire and how we've had issues getting new officers in sometimes, I do say this is this is necessary. Being in the school district myself, the middle school has become something of a taboo zone. There's not a lot of support staff want to go there if they can avoid it. So having someone there is a good idea. So I will make a motion to accept the proposal for the second SRO.
I will second it.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion. Nathan brought up a good point. If you look at your current staff, and I don't expect you to throw a name out there, but do you see someone that wants this job, much less wants to sit at the middle school?
I think there'll actually be a little bit of competition over this.
Really?
Yeah.
Better man or woman than me, because I wouldn't want to sit down there all day long.
I just don't want to deal with the kids a lot of times. That's just me.
We may have to do some things to move people around,
Would-
so they're not permanently at one school versus the other. you know.
Right.
Would you
Good.
consider making, let's say Ostrander goes in the next year or so, making this a 1 year in and out position, a rotating type of thing?
It's possible. It is, I believe, in the contract language, much like we changed the current latest detective to. It's a selection, and we've worked language in about potentially rotating in. So that option is there. I'd have to go look at the contract to see if it's part of the SRO language.
I was going to say, it might be up to the school, too. They might want somebody who's familiar all the
I'm about
time.
to say,
There's that
I
too.
think part of what the spirit of an SRO, from my understanding of them, is to help get the kids, also to realize that these officers aren't just there to arrest them, that they're also, regular people and they're good people. So having that familiar face is a good thing, especially with where our middle school's at right now, where you've got fifth graders coming in.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the bad behavior
You gotta
tends to start, but if an SRO is there,
establish a bond to
Mhm.
some degree as well.
yeah, that would be my only pushback on that. Not that, rotating wouldn't hurt them either, realizing that there's plenty of officers out there, but
Well, my point is you get lackadaisical because you get used to doing the same thing every day, and
no,
sometimes you don't put in the full.
I don't disagree with you on that one either.
All right, any other questions or comments? We would then forward this on to council or forward it to contract for council
For budget,
budget.
Yeah.
All those in
even
favor?
though there's no dollars really, other than
I just want to know where we're sending it.
resale stuff.
I would say we're forwarding it to council for approval.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
would it
concept.
go to a budget? Would it go to a budget session?
Yes and no.
I think
Well-
it's part of it, even though it's a zero.
Yeah, it should be in there somewhere mentioned, but
We have the SRO broken down in budget on a separate account,
you get a separate
per se.
All right, so your motion is to forward to the city council.
Correct.
All right, motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Clarification of the recently approved LTE recruit officer position.
I think I was asked in the meeting that this was discussed, whether this person had to be sworn or not, and I didn't think they had to be, but that has been corrected. They do have to be sworn if you're sponsoring them to go through a recruit academy. It doesn't meaningfully change anything that we're gonna do, but I wanted us all on the same page, so.
Thank you very much.
Your October potential start is that person,
Currently in the academy.
okay. Would he or she be done by, or they're,
They're done mid-September, actually,
oh, okay.
but we have PFC and a couple exams to complete prior to hire, so.
All right, any questions of the chief regarding the LTE officer position? Agenda item number 4, discussion regarding closed sessions. Mr. Mayor, would you like to go on the record?
Yes, I would. So, this item has been discussed previously by this committee. When I heard it was brought up again to a department head and a board chairman, I was very upset. It is clearly stated by the League of Municipalities who can and cannot be in closed session. I removed a standing alderman from the Police and Fire Commission because of a court case that was in Green Bay. And this goes along those same lines, that there's a conflict on some of this stuff. The city will follow the guidelines of the League of Municipalities, period. If a member is asked to leave a closed session by the body, I expect it to happen. This is hopefully the last time we'll have to visit this item.
Thank you. Any question of the mayor, any other discussion regarding closed sessions?
I think it's clearly stated in that who's in, who's out, and who can determine it.
And I'm assuming this has happened on occasion, and that's the whole reason for bringing it to everyone's awareness.
It's been questioned again and again and again, and I'm done with it.
I mean, we brought it up in June, and it's 2 months later. I'd expect, once every 2 years when we get new aldermen in, but we just brought this up, so it's disappointing.
Every commission we have has a person that is the chair that is not a council member, correct?
Right.
Maybe we can have Tom form a letter and make sure it's sent to each one of them that they're aware of
The rules of this. or-
Absolutely, and, I just want to, this thing, the gentleman that Steve speaks of was in my office last week when we were discussing this, and he just indicated that, well, he'd be getting second opinions, and, that's fine. That's a big point, and I stand there. But the way Wisconsin has set up councils and commissions it's really a work of art procedurally. The League of Wisconsin Municipalities, and they spent a lot of time researching and thinking about this, but I just want to read, Section 1989 clearly prohibits a governing body, such as a village board or common council, from excluding one of its members from a closed session of the body. Makes perfect sense. They're there. It also prohibits a committee from excluding a governing body member who is not a member of the committee. So, this meeting, any council member can come in and sit on that. However, independent statutory boards, such as library boards, plan commissions, and police and fire commissions, are not to be considered a subunit of a village board or common council, and the league has consistently opined independent statutory boards and commissions can exclude members of the village board or common council who are not also members of the board or commission from a closed session. What they don't put in their open meetings, but Claire Silverman, the league counsel, talked about, she's been just retired, is, not only can you exclude them, you can have them removed. And we don't need that. We don't need it. Thank you, that's all I wanted to say.
Any other questions or discussion regarding closed session? Moving on, update on delinquent property tax, personal property tax. Our finance director has apparently gone down for euros twice and still cannot find our friend.
Just providing an update. So the mail was not returned, so we're making more progress than we were before. So
Okay.
we'll just keep sending letters out.
Okay. And last one for you is budget timeline and update.
Yep, so I think I'm a little bit behind, but this is sort of a learning year for me, and I'm doing my best. Rod provided me with some of the agendas from last year, and I'm going to try and follow that schedule pretty closely in terms of having a cow and giving the capital and then working on operating. So this is updated as far as today where we're at.
We're used to being a little behind, so.
Yep.
All right, any questions of the finance director?
With the budget timeline, would it be possible to have a cow the 23rd or 25th of September? That kind of aligns with a request that the airport is making as far as their state and federal support personnel would be available that night. Last year we had it on September 26th, so it kind of follows that week.
I don't see a reason why not.
That would be our normally scheduled P&F is on the 24th, but there's two people that aren't available from their support. They're available the 23rd or 25th. Just looking, and Emily and I had talked about possibly having, say, the capital and utility and airport at that meeting. Was there another one that we had that
No.
I talked about?
Is it 23rd a Monday?
23rd is a Monday.
23rd is a Monday, 24th is the Tuesday.
So we could do health and safety and then do a cow after.
Well, it sounded like.
23rd or 25th?
23rd or 25th?
Or
Mhm.
25th, yeah. And
Okay.
Public Works is at 5:15 on that Wednesday, and I know Monday probably works better for some people.
I'd prefer Monday myself.
Yep.
And health and safety starts at 5:15 as well, so.
Correct.
Do a
Never seen one go past 6.
Have a cow
Been a
at
while.
6. Try.
Yeah, said it.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and
Gives us something to shoot for.
And at that cow, we would do
I do.
capital requests, correct?
What's that?
We would do capital requests at that.
Capital,
cow.
utility, and then airport. I know we did capital and utility last year. Those seem to go through, not through, but we have to get through them anyway, so that'll be the first round, and we'll kind of adjust and see how everything else is coming in after that. We'll probably have to have 3 meetings before the end of October, so, I mean,
We did it last year.
yep.
Okay. Moving on to our monthly reports. And we'll start out with a bang.
Mayor House.
Mayor Haas.
Any questions? It was a busy month for attending stuff.
What you dumb thing.
Do you know what you actually placed for butter carving?
No.
Do you actually know what you carved for butter carving was what I was thinking.
He knows what he carved.
He knows what his intention was.
I know, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, or the bee-butterer.
The yellow M.
Next year, we'll sign the Don out for that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
You just got
President of the
yourself
council,
a
huh?
You just gave me an idea.
job. That was his idea.
Any questions of City Administrator Akey and his report? Finance Director Lay. We are having something for Kathy on the next council agenda.
Yep.
Don't want to forget
We'll have
her.
a resolution.
Don't want to forget her. City Attorney Hayden.
Happy to answer any questions. Business is booming.
City Clerk Anderson Malm has an excused absence. Did not hear any complaints about the primary, though. But I'm not using the darn machine, so.
They refused it to.
I
And our
want to know
mo-
if there's a backup plan for no machines in November.
and then we have our municipal court report. I will consider a motion for place the monthly reports in file.
I will make that motion.
I will second it.
Motion made and seconded to place reports in file. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. They are placed on file. Agenda item number 6 is public comment. Anyone on the phone or in person wish to make public comment? Second call for public comment. And third and final call for public comment. Moving on to number 7, date and time of next meeting, and we are told normally it would be Tuesday, September 24th at 6 PM. We're all good with that?
Yep.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make that motion.
I will second it.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We're adjourned. Thank you.